Welcome to the Sisterhood of Limitless Living. I'm Dr. April Moreno, autoimmune wellness researcher and professional helping women around the world to live their best possible lives despite the autoimmune condition. Listen in as we speak on various topics about the autoimmune journey and interview amazing and inspiring women who are living and thriving despite their autoimmune condition. Let's get started. Hello, Sisterhood. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to get on here and talk to you today about mindfulness and how it's a beneficial practice for autoimmune wellness and how important it is for us in terms of getting control over our health and improving our mindset and just general wellness, mind and body and spirit. So today I wanted to talk about mindfulness because it is a very important part of my practice in autoimmune coaching for women. Mindfulness is a fundamental step and a fundamental part of healing and recovery, and also living and thriving with an autoimmune condition, despite an autoimmune condition. So that's what I wanted to talk to you today about. And so what is mindfulness, right? You hear this term all over the place these days. It is a frequent term we hear, and it sounds like it could be this really complex topic, this kind of nebulous topic, but then at the same time, it also sounds like something that could be really simple, right? So what is it, right? It is actually something that, despite all the stuff that's out there, it is a simple practice. It is about noticing and observing what is happening in your mind, your body, and possibly even your environment. So this is a practice that has, been on probably since the beginning of humanity. However, it has, been termed mindfulness recently. It has been an Eastern practice, and then it has become a Western practice as well. And one of the most well-known influencers or well-known theorists on the topic of mindfulness is Jon Kabat-Zinn. And if you were to, look into a book on mindfulness or wanted to read up on it in more depth, this is one of the key books. This is pretty much all that you would need to get a firm handle on what mindfulness is. So in this book, wherever you are, wherever you go, there you are. There's a lot here on different exercises around mindfulness. So you can go through this and about being in the present moment and all of the different types of meditation even in this book. Mindfulness is considered the heart of Buddhist meditation. Okay, so there's a lot out there about meditation versus mindfulness. Meditation can be seen as paying attention. Meditation can also be more active in many ways. There's visualization. There are all these other practices of meditation. But when it comes to mindfulness, a lot of it has to do with being still and being aware of the present moment, what is happening, noticing and observing. Okay, so that is what would distinguish mindfulness from meditation as a whole. It has to do with being very present and being very observant of what is happening. Another topic of conversation is the fact that although mindfulness is a simple practice, similar to meditation, it is a simple practice. It is not necessarily an easy practice, right? Because it is simple to be still and to observe and to notice without judgment. But sometimes it's, our instinct is to, go further with that, respond and wanting to do something about it and make changes to it. But in the practice of mindfulness, we are being aware and we are simply noticing. Okay, so one of the main practices, one of the key practices that you will see throughout mindfulness out there is the body scan. That's one of the key practices out there, and it is so important and necessary in the case of autoimmune wellness when we're going through a situation where we are highly stressed out and we are worried and we are fearful of what is going on with our bodies. We may or may not have a diagnosis. We may or may not be going through a relapse of some kind with, unfamiliar symptoms. So the practice of mindfulness is what's going to be very helpful for us to get an idea of what is happening in our bodies, noticing where the pain is, where the tension is, how to describe what is going on and what the feeling is like. Another thing about mindfulness is the practice in the body scan, where you begin to understand tension in the body. So when we're really stressed out, we don't notice all the different things that are going on. When we're stressed out, we don't notice the tension, our shoulders beginning to rise up. We don't notice after hours and hours of work, the tension, the pain in the back of the back or the neck, or the soreness in the wrists from social media, from using the cell phone or the computer for extended periods of time without resting. These are things that with mindfulness practice, we would begin to catch a lot quicker. Sometimes when you're sitting in a certain position for a long time, and then you don't realize you've got all those marks on your legs from sitting for so long. It is so interesting, isn't it? When you get up, you're like, wow, I don't even feel that. It's almost like my skin has been pinched for hours and I didn't even feel it until now. So mindfulness is a practice where we can begin to be more aware and take stock of what is happening and assess the present moment without judgment. So again, it is a simple practice, but it doesn't mean that it is easy, right? And it also is a difference between being and doing. We are able to be present at this time, but it is not about doing things, right? So it's not about us taking action and responding to what is happening. Hi, Ebony. I'm talking about mindfulness at the moment. So it is a fundamental practice in autoimmune wellness and healing in my work with women, because that is the start. We need to take note of what is happening and being calm and finding ways to, without judgment, to be attentive to what is happening to our bodies and minds. So that is what mindfulness is about. Okay, so in practice, again, some of those exercises are the body scan. Number one, I hear very often, it's just like going from head to toe, feeling what you're feeling throughout the body, just noticing any tension or any pain that is taking place in different parts of the body, just being aware of it, just to know that it's there, assessing the situation. And I also want to talk about the different characteristics and the practices, characteristics of mindfulness. Let me go ahead and do that. Staying present, right? It is so vital so that we can understand what we're going through and also just be calm and to start to make those changes to our system. After we do the mindfulness exercise, we can begin to make those changes. But at this time, in the stage of mindfulness meditation, we are just noticing what is happening first, assessing the situation. So these are the characteristics of mindfulness: non-judgment, not being judging of what is happening, not being angry with yourself, or not being in a state of blame or anything like that. We are simply noticing what is happening. We are in a state of acceptance. We need to accept the reality of what is currently happening, right? So we accept it. We are in a state of passivity in mindfulness. We are passive observers, noticing what is happening in our bodies and minds. We are not engaging with it. We just notice it and we just let it be the way it is. We are not getting involved with it. Okay, we are living in the present moment, and that again is really a very important part of mindfulness, being very present in what's happening. So we notice, with they say with depression, we tend to be dwelling on the past, and that with anxiety, we're dwelling in the future, and we have anxiety. So what is really important in mindfulness is that we're very focused on the present moment. We are in a state of attention. That is another characteristic of mindfulness: being attentive, simply noticing and giving attention to what is happening in mind and body. And responsiveness, responsiveness is a really interesting one here. This is a characteristic here where we begin to ask questions of ourselves. So not only are we noticing things, we actually can step further and ask ourselves, why do I feel that tension in my body? Let me think about this. Where is this coming from? Why do I feel this stress at the moment? Why did I feel defensive in this certain circumstance at the moment, even if we're in that mindfulness state? Why do I feel resistant? Why do I feel defensive? So just noticing these things and asking ourselves about these thoughts and these feelings, identifying and noticing these tensions, responses, these instincts, just asking ourselves, what is it? You can even, take another step into it and ask your autoimmune condition, what do you want me to know? What is happening? Why is this happening? Just ask questions of it. It is another part of being mindful. And then again, the practices that we can use again are the body scan. That is a really good one. So we can go from head to toe, just being aware of the different tensions, the different pains, things that we had not noticed before, but we're like, wow, that's actually been going on for a while and I just really never paid attention to it, right? And that's really important when it comes to autoimmune conditions and wellness, catching something early, right? Noticing these things within the body. And then also, my pup is opening the door. And then talking to these things is another practice where I just mentioned in that state of responsiveness, we're talking to any sensations of anger or stress or pain in the body, the tension, or we can ask it questions. And then another really important one is breathing practices, noticing the type of breathing that you're doing. What are you, if you're in a state of stress or if you're in a state of anxiety or worry, your breathing is going to be very short, right? You may not be taking deep breaths as you need to. So when you do various practices like yoga, relaxation, so much of it is the breath, so much of it. And so when people are relaxed, their breathing is so different. When people are asleep, we know when someone has fallen asleep because we can hear the difference in the breathing, right? So these are the practices. These are some examples of mindfulness practice. And again, this is a really important and fundamental part of wellness. Mindfulness is a place where we can begin to assess what is going on. And then we can go into the next stages of making those changes and improving and taking those steps to get the help that we need, or looking within to make decisions to make those changes on our own. And yeah, so those are the things I wanted to talk about today. Again, mindfulness is a foundation in my autoimmune wellness practice. It is a foundation for us to understand what is happening, noticing and observing it, so that we can make those changes and improvements later on in the future. All right, so that's what I wanted to share with you today. All right, take care.
Thank you for listening to the Sisterhood of Limitless Living podcast. If you like what you heard, come and follow us and subscribe on iTunes or give us a review. Also, you can join us on the Facebook group, The Sisterhood of Limitless Living, or come visit me on my website, aprilmorenophd.com. Take care.